Hi everyone, and welcome to the Wedding Circle podcast. Before we begin, I wanted to just give you a little heads up about the sound quality of this podcast. With everything that's going on in the world right now, we're actually remotely recording this. I'm at my house and my co-host April is recording at her house. So the sound quality might not be as good or as polished as you're used to when listening to some of your other favourite podcasts. But please do stick with us. We really wanted to get this project up and running, even with the struggles we are facing as a nation, and hope that you really enjoy what we have to offer. Hi everyone, and welcome to the Wedding Circle podcast. My name is Sophie, and I am here with my co-host and really good friend April. This podcast is about all things weddings for brides, grooms, and anyone else wanting inspiration for that big day. We really hope you enjoy coming on this journey with us. We will be bringing you some amazing guests who are the absolute top of their game in their industry and digging deep into all areas of a wedding. So please do head over to our social media pages. You can find us on Instagram, the.weddingcircle, or on Facebook, or pop us an email to theweddingcirclepodcast@gmail.com. So we thought we would start by just giving you a bit of an introduction as to who we are, our background in the wedding industry, and where we're hoping to go with the Wedding Circle. Okay, so right back to when I was a child, I started playing the violin age 7. Probably sounded absolutely dreadful. And I've been singing all my life, but really started taking it seriously when I reached sort of college age, so about 16 or 17. I worked really, really hard during this time actually, and took both my A levels, all of my A levels, and my grade 8 with the ABRSM, so that's the Associated Board of the Royal Schools of Music, in both classical singing and violin. Quite close together actually, those two exams. So a lot of my time was spent sort of just in the practice rooms preparing and playing and singing, and doing all that kind of thing. And I missed quite a lot of social events with like friends going out, partying and all that kind of thing. I've never been a massive partier anyway. But yeah, I definitely sacrificed a lot of my sort of social friendships, and put music first actually. Spent a lot of time in the practice room alone or with the teacher, preparing for these exams. But it was worth it because, I did really well, and it's something I've carried through to the later part of my life sort of now. Um, at the time, I was actually also playing in about 5, 6 different orchestras, so like string quartets, chamber orchestras, full orchestras, and I was actually leading my local youth orchestra. There's about 40 people in that orchestra, and all sort of similar ages to me, a little bit younger than I was at the time. And leading that, I was the lead violinist. It was a really good test as a sort of 16, 17-year-old. Gave me a real sense of responsibility and just made me realize that, yeah, music was something I definitely wanted to carry on through into my adult life. I then took a little break from it and had 2 children, and they're now 9 and 4. I have a girl and a boy. And during that time, being a mum, music was something that we did have on in the house, obviously, quite often. We still do, but it wasn't I wasn't performing whilst I was being a mum. So getting back into performing was a friend actually who was getting married and said, "Sophie, would you play your violin just as I walked down the aisle for my wedding ceremony?" And I thought, oh my goodness, getting back into that was really scary for me. When you become a mum, that becomes your sole purpose. It kind of consumes your life. So if you take time out of work, getting back into work's actually a really scary prospect. So a lot that performing for me was work at the time, but it just felt like that person, I'd left them behind. Back when I was a teenager at college, a young adult, that was my violin playing days, and getting back into it was pretty scary. But she was really adamant she wanted me, and I couldn't say no. In fact, I can never say no. I say yes to everything. But I'm really, really glad I did it because it got my sort of musical juices flowing again and got me back got my foot in the door actually with the venue. I spoke to the lady that runs that venue specifically. She was really impressed with what I'd done on the day, got me into the wedding fair, and then it just took off from there. It really did. And it has grown and grown. I've now got nearly 60 weddings in my diary for the next year. Well, that's before COVID-19 came along. But all those weddings have actually rescheduled. They are still in my diary. But yeah, 60 weddings, and it is my full-time job. So I'm just going to hand over to April now. She's going to tell you a little bit more about herself, her business, and her background in retail.
Hey everyone, my name's April and I'm from a business called The Confectionery Lounge. Me and Sophie met probably around a year and a half ago now. We were working together at a wedding fair and we've been friends ever since. So we thought it'd be a good idea between us to create the Wedding Circle as a source of reference for brides, grooms, suppliers to do all that inspirational stuff that we love to see when we're out at weddings and at wedding fairs, etc. So my history is from retail. I've been a retail manager for 10 years and I recently left that career to be a full-time self-employed business lady. So the confectionery lounge was started while I was working, and then it's grown ever since to now include sweet carts, donut walls, ice cream bikes, the works. Relating to the fact that we are going to cover COVID-19, it feels right to acknowledge it. It's too big of a part of everybody's lives right now to just glaze over it. We're actually recording this podcast remotely. So Sophie's at her house, I'm at mine. But what we didn't want to do was let the situation hold us back from launching the Wedding Circle and the podcast series. So this is our way of battling through and making sure we can continue with our plans and reach you guys as well.
We have got so many amazing guests that we want to interview and bring to you. And we've figured out a way to remotely record these podcasts. So we're really hoping that we can sort of battle through this situation and bring everybody a little bit of something interesting to listen to. And, if you're planning your wedding and it's had to be rescheduled, then it's going to give you a little bit more time to get those, little extra bits planned in that you maybe didn't have time for first time around. So let's talk a little bit about coronavirus and how it's affected the wedding industry. There's been a little bit about it in the media, but to be honest, I've stopped sort of turning the news on because it was all getting a little bit much, and I just kind of want to focus on, what was ahead of me that particular day rather than thinking too far into the future. So yeah, if we talk a little bit about how it's affected the wedding industry, for us suppliers, all the venues, and also maybe talk a little bit about how it's affected brides and grooms in our experience and what we've done to try and combat try and get over the hurdle, and in terms of rescheduling and things like that.
So I know when all of this kind of came about, so I don't know, maybe 3 weeks ago now, we were having a conversation where Sophia said to me I'm a bit worried about everything with the coronavirus. I'm quite a laid back, take it as it comes, face every day as it arrives, all that kind of thing. And I was kind of I'm sure we'll be fine. It'll be absolutely fine. I don't think it'll impact us. I think we'll be fine.
I actually went
And
ahead at the very end of January and bought like £150 worth of tins of food because I just had this like premonition that something was going to happen, and we called it our apocalypse cupboard because it felt like the apocalypse was coming. But I literally bought loads of tins of food and also some Dettol wipes and antibacterial stuff. So when everybody was going crazy in the shops and they couldn't get soap and things, I actually had some already. So yeah,
you were
I
covered.
was quite concerned about it, and I'm not surprised that we've gone into lockdown, and that the kind of the country's on hold for a little bit. But it really has affected the wedding industry in a way that I didn't expect. So we thought we would just sort of acknowledge that a little bit and talk about how it's affected us all.
100%, because Sophie, as you can tell, Sophie has a very good eye for what's coming in the future. So if you ever need a Mystic Meg moment, you know where that one's gonna come from. And I
Don't sell me as a Mystic Meg, really.
and
Oh
I really
gosh.
wish that I'd maybe listened. It's not that I necessarily think I would do anything differently than I have done if I'd have thought that this was gonna happen sooner, but I was quite naive in just thinking, "We're gonna be fine. We'll be absolutely fine," which we are going to be fine, but it has come with challenges, and I kinda wasn't prepared for that. So it as Sophie said, it's hit the wedding industry hard, and it kinda hit us all at once, out of nowhere. So yeah, it's such a big impact on everybody's lives in general, but the impact that it's had within the wedding industry, not even just as suppliers, but mainly as brides and grooms that have been looking forward to a big day for years on end, and then to have that call from your venue to say, "I'm really sorry, but we're going to have to cancel the wedding," or "We can only do it if you only bring yourselves and two witnesses," or whatever that looked like. That feeling can I can't even. It must have been so gutting.
Yeah. I mean, I've spoken to a few different people about it that aren't in the wedding industry and maybe haven't got married themselves, and they kind of say, well, getting married is a luxury, and yes, it is a big luxury, day to have, and to have all your friends and family around you and spend money on, all these wonderful things that you just wouldn't normally do day to day. Um, and I know there's a lot of people out there, really suffering with COVID-19, and we're not taking this, that away from them at all. This is an absolutely horrendous situation. But, um, it really is such a big day. And I mean, we got married in 2018, and I said to my husband a couple of days ago, because he was one of the ones saying, "Oh, I don't know why it's such a big deal. It's just a wedding." I said, "Yeah, but imagine if a week before, even a day." But in fact, I know of somebody whose wedding was cancelled on the morning of their wedding. They arrived at the hotel the day before. They had their final wedding meeting at 8 o'clock, um, the night before the wedding was due to be. And then they went down for breakfast in the morning, and the venue staff came down and said, "We're really sorry, but we're having to cancel your wedding today." And that must have been absolutely devastating. And like I said to my husband, imagine if that happened to us. It all being cancelled due to something completely out of your hands. It would be so upsetting. So, it isn't just a wedding. It is a huge event for people that they've spent a lot of their time planning. Um, for brides and grooms that have spent years. They got engaged maybe 2, 3 years ago. They secured their favourite venue, they secured all their favourite suppliers, and now they're having to reschedule. And we're going to go on to this, but some of their suppliers might not be available, and they're having to kind of rethink the whole day. So yeah, it is a big deal, and really upsetting for people. So yeah, it's hit the wedding industry pretty hard.
Yeah, it's massive, and I equally had, as Sophie's just said, she knows someone that got cancelled on the day. I had a bride. It was probably the I'm thinking now. It was the weekend after. We weren't in lockdown, but we were told to start social distancing quite strictly. So I spoke to the bride earlier in the week, and we were good to go. Donut wall was ready. The donuts were ready, and I got a call at 1 o'clock to say, and it was from the bride. So as you can imagine, I answer the phone. She's like, "Hi, it's me," and I'm like, "What are you doing on the phone? You're meant to be getting married." And it had literally an hour before they'd been told that the wedding couldn't go ahead. She was all done, like hair and makeup, and
Oh my
the
goodness.
answer was, I said to her, "I've got your donuts." Obviously, which wasn't her biggest issue, but it was it was the first thing that came to my mind. And she said, "Don't worry, we're
Yeah.
having the donuts. We're going to take it to my mum's." And you know what? That was it. The plans changed, the venue changed. I went and set up, and it was as good of a day for her as they could have made it. She did get married. Her and her husband, they did get married. They had, I think it was two or three close family with them as witnesses, and then a small group of them got together outside at her parents. And I suppose that in my eyes was kind of the biggest nod to, oh my god, this is gonna effectively turn everybody's plans upside down. That poor girl only had a few hours to get her head around it. a lot of people are going to have a lot longer, but it doesn't make it necessarily any easier. And making that decision, that's the bit that I feel sorry for people with. And when I contact brides and grooms, I say to them, I am so sorry that you've been put in this situation where you have to make a decision like that, because you are the ones that have to make the decision, but it's a decision you never wanted to make. So that makes it really difficult.
Yeah, especially when, they've got venues and things secured, and moving dates and things means that you're going to have to kind of look back over your contracts that you maybe signed 2 or 3 years ago, and is that going to incur a charge? And, people that are going to plan to get married overseas, if they decide to cancel the wedding, um, are they going to lose the money? Like, it is a big situation. And then, and us as suppliers, we've obviously all been affected. I mean, my work has been completely wiped out right until the end of June. I
Yeah,
think
mine
I've got
too.
one. I do have one wedding in June. They do still want to go ahead, but we're going to have to just wait and see. Fingers crossed, we can kind of get back to some normality so that they can have their big day. But we're going to have to wait and see what happens. I think the news is saying at the moment that it's going to go on a little bit longer than June. Anyway, so yeah, we're kind of just taking it, day by day, week by week, and dealing with the situation as it unfolds. So yeah, so if you're planning a wedding, and you've had to postpone because of coronavirus, then don't panic
No,
to start off with.
absolutely. As much as it seems like a situation where everything's falling apart, it absolutely is not. Like, your suppliers, your venue, we all pull together. We will make it work, whether it be on that day, a different day, the next year, whatever. So yeah, absolutely, don't panic. We will find a way.
Yeah, we all want to work together in order to make it the day that you had planned originally, if not better. I've got, I think, a couple of people have booked me recently that hadn't booked me, but now they've rescheduled to a date that I'm available. So now I am available for them, and it's just going to make their day all the better if they can have, other people involved. They want other suppliers involved, and also it gives you that little bit of extra time to carry on saving, because we all know how expensive weddings are. They eat into your savings. So any extra time it's gonna make all the difference. Putting away a little bit of extra money, meaning that you can spend a little bit more on something, or have something extra. So yeah, so don't panic. Definitely not. The main thing is that you get married. That is the reason you got engaged, in the first place. So whether it's the big white wedding that you'd planned, or it is just you and your closest family and friends, because that's the situation that's unfolding, and that's how it's going to have to be. Um, that just kind of think back to the core values, the core reason of, as to why you're getting married. Why you're having this day. Yeah, you will be married. You will be together. That is the main thing. The both of you, having your day, whether it be 200 guests or five.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is as well, I think I've had some people come to me that might be getting married in. I mean, I've even had someone who's getting married in August. Now, they've not moved the date, but effectively just putting feelers out to see what the situation is if they had to. And the reason they were asking is, it's almost that question of, do you want to get married with this cloud over you? And by moving it to, I mean, I've had a bride move their wedding from this year to 2022, which seems quite a way off, but she had a heart attack
Yeah, that
on
is.
a Saturday in summer. And it's like I was saying to her, at least by 2022 or 2021 or whatever, whenever you decide to postpone it to, you can enjoy your day without this being a topic of conversation. And I
Yeah,
think that's quite
exactly.
a important thing, because it's a draining situation on all of us, and it isn't something that you necessarily want to be linked with the best day of your life. So as much as it is upsetting to have to move it, if moving it means that the day is in what would be nicer because it isn't surrounded by this cloud, then that is the right decision to make, isn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think so. I think anybody that comes to me and says, "Oh, I really don't want to, but I think I'm going to have to reschedule," I've just been saying to everybody, I think you're making the right decision because you don't want to leave it. We don't know what's going to happen in the next few months, next 6 months, and if you wait, think, oh, we'll hold out, then it could get called off a week before,
And that's
and
worse. That is
yeah,
so much worse.
and then you're having to, you know, reschedule it all and cancel everybody's hotel rooms and all that kind of thing. I wanted to mention this. Reschedule, don't cancel. Please don't cancel. If you were planning on getting married, why would you cancel? So yeah, please postpone the wedding, reschedule to a different date. Please don't think about cancelling because it will happen one day. Um, and just sort of, if you think you might want to cancel, maybe just take a step back and pause for a little bit, have a think about what you want to do, and then relook at it once you've had a sleep. I always think, go to sleep on it.
Yeah, yeah, give yourself that headspace. We all need that. We all need, whether it, like Sophie says, sleep on it, go for a walk, just talk it over with your family. I think it's all about perspective. And Sophie's absolutely right. Love isn't cancelled. The want to get married isn't cancelled. So postponing is the way. And your suppliers will help you do that. We will all help you do that.
Yeah,
I've
definitely.
touch wood. I've managed to move all of the dates. I'm actually currently working on building a second donut wall so that if I have any donut clashes, I can still do both. And that's what suppliers want to do. They want to be in a position where they're like, yeah, I'll be there for you. Yeah, we can do it. Don't worry about it. We've got you covered. And that's from right up from your venue, your biggest priority, to your photographer, to your cake, to your florist, right down to such as me, that's just an additional extra. Like, I want to be there for you. I want for our service to be as amazing as you would always dreamed, planned. It's harder really for people such as like yourself, Sophie, though, because for instance, I can build another donut wall.
Mm.
You can't split yourself in two. I mean, I'd have a good crack at singing for yourself, but it would not be the same.
Yeah, this is one of the things that I really wish I could do. I really wish I could clone myself because I'm having to say no to so many different people. I'm getting booked up like a couple of years in advance now, especially for key dates, Saturdays in the summer, spring and summer. Um, it is tricky when you've got more than one person interested in the same date. I mean, recently I've had 5 people interested in one date in May, and I obviously make it really clear to all of them, like, it is a first come first serve basis. It is just me. I can't duplicate myself. Um, so if you're interested, please like secure the date with a booking, with a deposit. And they maybe go away and they may be talking to their partner about it or their family, like, what do you think we should do? And then in that time, somebody else comes in and swoops the date, and it's gone. So yeah, that's one thing I wish I could do, is clone myself. But so back to the coronavirus situation, I just wanted to say I listened to a podcast the other day by Brene Brown, who is an inspirational sort of talker, and she started a new podcast. It's really worth a listen. Um, and her very first episode actually was, what did she call it? FFTs? Yes, FFTs, which was, one word was actually a swear word, so I'm not going to say. It begins with an F, so I bet you can imagine what it might be. But it was about first times, so it was a thing, first times. And this COVID-19, we're all in our first time. We've never done this before, and she was sort of giving some tips and advice on how to deal with a first time, whether it be a massive worldwide pandemic like this. I'm not sure if anybody else has ever been through one before. I certainly haven't. um, or it could just be you know, I don't know, being a first time mum, or even cooking something for the first time. It could be as trivial as that. But if it's the first time, then we do tend to sort of spiral into this world of, oh, this is awful. I don't know what to do. This is out of my control. Blah blah blah. So I think if we just try and put it all into perspective, April touched on it a moment ago and just said, put it all back into perspective. The main thing is that you get married, whether it be now or in 2 years' time, and sort of have a sit down and a rethink about, just take a moment out. If your venue's called you today and said, I'm really sorry, but we can't go ahead, or your registrar has said we no longer, are holding any weddings up until this X date. Obviously your emotions are going to be all over the place. So get a cup of tea, sit down, don't think about it for a bit, and come back to it when you feel you can be a bit more rational.
So I think this summary from kind of that as a topic, and you know what, in the nicest possible way, we probably won't cover this again because it doesn't need to take up any more time, well, any more of our time than it already has. And like it already has your guys' time as well. So we probably won't cover it again. But I suppose the conclusion to it would be don't panic. If this is creating a headache for you, there will be an answer. We will find a way. Your suppliers want to work with you, they want to be there for you. It's as important to them that you have an amazing day and that their service is a part of that for you, whether that be on the planned date, next year, a few months away, 2 years away, whatever that takes, your suppliers want to be there with you. I think it's important that you know that you're not on your own. And equally, for suppliers to know that you're not on your own either, we're all in the same boat. And it's really important that as a community, we just stick together and there's no other way around it, really. So, anything else to add to
Yeah, I
that,
just
Sel?
wanted to say, we probably won't cover this again in a podcast format. However, if this has raised any questions for you as listeners that you want us to answer, then we will be, I think, answering questions and things about this over on our social media. So if you've got anything you want to know, um, how to sort of proceed with rescheduling, how to approach your suppliers, maybe you need help with drafting an email, dealing with terms and conditions that you signed 2, 3 years ago, things like that, then drop us an email or, go to our social media accounts and just send us a message and we will either do our best to help you, advise you. Obviously, we're not specialists in this area, but, we are in the wedding industry and we have got a lot of contacts that are also in the wedding industry, obviously. And we will reach out and get as much helpful information as we can. There's also a couple of people that I know specialising in kind of the T's and C's of it all, more sort of legal things, so we can point you in the right direction for some more in-depth help if you need it. But yeah, if you just want a bit of moral support or you've got some questions, then yeah, head over to our social media or send us an email, thewedingcirclepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram, the.wedding circle, and then over on Facebook, The Wedding Circle. And just send us a message. And yeah, we'll get back to you as soon as we can with hopefully, something helpful and positive.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think the important thing with what we're trying to achieve here is we want to create a community. Although we want the podcast series to be something of inspiration, something that you guys can refer to, use to be able to plan your wedding or to come up with ideas that you hadn't thought of before. What I think is also, and I think this time more than ever, it's important that we create some kind of community where you feel like you belong and you can ask those questions and it isn't a big deal, and that the people being us, will answer to the best of our ability and we'll do what we can to help you as well. So yeah, just shout up. We're always willing to. It's like I say to my brides and grooms and whoever, even if it's sweet related or not, give me a shout. Like, we're all
Yeah,
people and we
yeah.
can and will get through it together.
I'm exactly the same.
Or even if, regardless of COVID-19, if you're struggling to come up with something, if you're still looking for that perfect florist, if you've got a vision in mind for your cake, if you've got a dream venue styling that you want to bring to life, but you're struggling to find someone that can do it, like that's where we want to come in. Like, that's where we want to be, that reference point, that we want to be those go-to people that you're like, oh my god, like I've seen this on Pinterest, I love it. I can't see anybody that's done it before. Nobody seems to understand. And let us take a bit of it on. Let's see what we can do. We might not always have the answers, but if we can answer and help just a couple of you, then that like we'll feel like we've done what we set out to do with the wedding circle. So regardless what your query is, just give us a shout, and that's where the community piece
Yeah,
comes
we do
in.
want to create a
So
community. This is, I think, even like you said, April, even more important now. You know, it's kind of become really prevalent in this last few weeks. Is that having a community of people around you, and the wedding community is a really strong one. There's a lot of supportive people out there, and when brides and grooms are planning their day, and they kind of enter into that wedding supplier kind of community, that, you know, I really feel like they can feel it, and that we're all in it together, and we're all supporting each other, and we'll recommend each other and that kind of thing. So, you know, we definitely want this to be a really great place for people to come and chat and reach out.
absolutely, and like we joked earlier, before, literally just before we started the podcast, we were just talking, and I'm not even sure what context I said it now, but I said to Sophie, "Can I say the world?" And we were like, "Whoa, I don't know if we can take over the world." But do you know what? Like, you're from another country and you were listening. We want to
Yeah.
help you just as much. Who knows where it can go? And I think the exciting thing is we're starting on a journey, and you guys are coming along with us, which would be amazing. So, thank you so much for checking in with us today. Thank you for listening. We hope you've enjoyed taking some time out to hear our version of events. And we're really looking forward to doing our next podcast with you guys. So, as we've mentioned throughout, if you've got any questions, any feedback's always amazing. Kind of feedback,
Constructive
but
criticism.
feedback's always amazing. That's it. If you've got anything that you want to tell us, like check in with us on Instagram and Facebook, give us a like, give us a follow. Keep up with the adventure is a term I like to use. And let's stay connected, and we look forward to bringing you a second podcast very soon.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
How's that?
I think that rounded it
Yeah, I
off.
think I rounded up. I think that was pretty good.
Stop recording.
Oh yeah. If you want to find out more about April and I, you can head straight to our websites, www.sophiejanemusician.co.uk and www.theconfectionarylounge.com. Or you can find us on Instagram @SophieJaneMusician and @The Confectionery Lounge. Thanks, bye!